ashes melted back to life. Done my time and served my sentence. Dress me up and watch me die. If it feels good, tastes good, it must be mine. Dynasty decapitated, you just might see a ghost tonight. And if you don't know now, you know. I'm taking back the crown. I'm all dressed up and naked. I see what's mine and taken. Oh yeah, the crown.
All right, and with that music, you already know the demon has been summoned, and we are up here. And by the way, I am dressed in a little bit of winter gear tonight because it is cold. I'm even warming my hands to the fire whenever it was giving the countdown on there. It is kind of cold over here. So we're looking forward to getting my guest up here in the hot seat because maybe I can warm my hands over on that side as well because, you know, the hot seat puts off some flames and all. But we're going to have some fun with this. Make sure you get out there and share and let everybody know what's going on ahead of time. You're going to love this because these are some returning guests that we've had on once before. Been looking forward to having them on here for this one. And we're going to discuss about destinations because right now a destination that I want is somewhere warm. So here is Lynsey and Jayel from the good old Oneshi Press.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, y'all? Appreciate y'all being here.
Well, it's we're coming in from where it's nice and warm. I'm sorry to see that you're all bundled up, you know, up here in the Rockies of sunny Missoula, Montana, where it's a balmy 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
Probably less than that now, actually.
Got, you know, sun's out, guns out, right?
You're wearing a tank top, and I'm over there like, oh, I'm just freezing.
Yeah, right? I don't know what's going on with him. I've got a sweater on and a thermal and some giant socks.
I just had some dark chocolate, so, you know, I'm feeling my blood's up, right?
Ah, that's what it is. That's the secret. Okay.
I don't know. I just made that up.
Works
I mean, I
for
did
him.
have some chocolate, but I don't know if I...
Well, before we get too involved in how, you know, the temperature is rising and everybody around here and some of it's dropping around here and everybody can deal with it, we're going to get to know who exactly you are, what you're doing, and kind of what you're working on over there. Go ahead and let us know.
Well, we have an intro for that. Hello, I am Jayel Draco. I am the co-founder and lead designer of Oneshi Press.
And I am Lynsey G. I am the word person, the editor-in-chief, and also co-founder of Oneshi Press. And we are a small independent publishing company in Missoula, Montana. We do mostly comics, but we do also publish illustrated novels, some prose novels, and some art books.
Nice. So you got your hands dipped in quite a few different projects out there.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
we like to keep busy.
We keep it going. We have several ongoing series as well as our anthologies where we publish other people's works. And that is what Destinations is. You can see this beautiful background all behind us. Not in our camera, but behind our camera. The blue stuff above and below. That's all the cover of the Destinations anthology, which is our current and 12th anthology live on Kickstarter right now at kickstarter.oneshipress.com. And it features 17 comics from diverse creators around the world, totaling 30 people if we add up all the teams. And it's all centered around the theme of destinations, which can mean a lot of things. You know, anything from like destiny to like a coffin to like home to like, you know, lots of things can be destinations. So we see how these 17 different stories all pulled their own, you know, definition there.
Now, are any of these destinations warm? That's all I'm worried about right now.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them you might be regrettably warm.
Oh, okay. I've got you on that. So you said this is your 12th anthology. I mean, you've gone through 11 other ones getting up to this point.
Yeah.
And apparently doing anthologies you actually enjoy, because I've talked to other creators who have said, like, you know, I've done 3 and never again. Because there's a lot put into it. Because the thing that I want to ask you is how much have you learned going through, you know, creating all these anthologies and dealing with others, you know, dealing with the work that's on there? Because I know doing your own work is one thing, but having to create all those schedules and having everybody on there, how do you go through all that?
Sure. And I mean, everybody has different vibes on it. For some people, like, this is something they dreamed of one day, making an 8-page comic. For some people, they make 8-page comics every week, and this is their job. And, you know, they want to be in every anthology so they can build their career. For some people, like, maybe I even goaded some people into making it like, hey, you're a great illustrator and a great writer, and that's a great idea. You should make a 8-pager out of it and submit for our next anthology, you know? So there's all different kinds of people. And, you know, Lynsey and I really love people. We really love helping, really love working with people. And we really believe in Oneshi Press. And we believe in these people, you know, and some of them, unfortunately, we've had people flake out on us, or people, you know, get the wrong idea and maybe try to get something out of us that we weren't offering. And we always have to have backup stories. So that's one thing that we do, is we keep other people where we're like, hey, you know, like, there's maybe we didn't get to fit you in this time, but maybe next time around we'll fit you in. And then if someone bails, we'll write back to that person and be like, hey, you're runner up, do you want to be in, you know? And sure enough, that happens at least once every anthology, where we, you know, grab someone off our waiting list and move them up one. But, you know, like, some people are really, really good at business and some people are not. And that has nothing to do with whether or not you're also good at being creative.
Right.
There are people that are tremendously talented writers and artists who are terrible at communicating. And there are people who are like annoyingly good at communicating, who just like aren't that great at, you know, expressing themselves emotionally or creatively, you know? And you're not always going to find people that have both, and that just has to be okay. And if you're not willing to work with someone who maybe communication isn't their forte, or maybe like, you know, being punctual isn't their forte, like, if you're not willing to work with that, then anthologies are not really what you should be making. Because this is an exercise in herding cats and stacking snakes and like hurrying slugs and like all the other weird analogies I could throw at you.
Yeah. It's been a huge learning process for us. Like, we started out, our first anthology only had 4 comics in it, so it was not that challenging.
Yeah.
And it was people that we knew, you know, it was super easy.
Including ourselves. We had comics in there.
But, you know, over time they've grown and we've branched out farther and farther to people we don't know. And at this point, we're getting like 100 submissions for each anthology, which is fantastic, but it has required that each time we go on to the next anthology, we sort of refine what we're doing, figure out our systems. You know, for a while we were just trying to correspond individually with each person about each individual detail, and it got overwhelming. So we've come up with systems, how to communicate with a large group of people all at once, and how to, you know, keep the wheels turning while we're also working on other things. And it is at this point still a huge amount of work. We put an enormous amount of work into every anthology that we do, but we've also got sort of a system going that we tweak each time we do one, and it becomes a little bit less
more
involved.
streamlined. Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's good that you're actually, because any experience that you're getting from there, you learn from, and you just kind of evolve as you're going along.
Yeah.
And you just, it kind of gets better and better, because like you said, these things are getting bigger and bigger. You started with 4 stories and you're up to 17 in this one. So if that's the case and the math is on there, we're looking at like 25 or 30 on the next one. I mean, we're getting up there.
Yeah.
I think our first anthology was like 40 pages, and this one is 140 pages. So leveled up. But one of the things that we most strongly believe in at Oneshi Press is that, especially in the indie creative world, that competition should not be a thing. We should all be collaborating with each other instead of competing with each other, because there is enough room for everyone. And so a big thing that we've been wanting to do with these anthologies all along is to help people, you know, to give a platform and a place for publication for people who are looking for that, but also to make it into a networking experience. You know, people who have never published a comic before might be publishing their work alongside a veteran of the industry who's done this 1,000 times. And that means they both now know about each other's works. They can share each other's audiences, and maybe they'll work together in the future. And I think that by making that one of the most important parts of what we're doing with the anthologies, we have not only grown other people's networks, but our own. And we are now starting to get work submitted to us by people who really know what they're doing, like real pros in the industry. And it's awesome to be able to work with people who know their way around the block, and also with, you know, people who are brand new to it. It's a really enriching process for us as a company and as people. And we want that to be the same for everyone who comes on board with one of our anthologies.
And that is awesome that you have that and you have that mentality. I cannot stress enough the fact that you saying that and saying it aloud, there needs to be more people who are on that same wagon, because if you're fighting over the spotlight, it gets to where it gets dim because there's so many people hovering over it. But if you get enough people kind of putting that thing where it needs to be on the indies, then it gets a lot of people attention in there that definitely need the attention. And, you know, the ones that are up there that are already, you know, they got the huge foundation, the huge backing and everything, they're doing great and they're still moving forward. And as long as they have the right mindset and they're working within that spotlight with some other people, theirs will still grow and they'll help other small people grow as well, which again, just seems like it's a much bigger community operative at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about community. And like, we have found the indie comics community to be so welcoming and supportive and awesome. And there are so many people that feel the same way that we do about it. So we're just trying to put that all out there. I don't know, as hard as we can, especially with the anthologies. And it's amazing. Like, we're going to look at some of the art from this book while we're talking, I think, and you're going to see the quality of the stuff that we're getting is just like mind-blowing. And one of the things that we've always done with anthologies is we try to keep an open theme. You know, some people go real specific, which is really fun. You know, if you get like, what was it, the analogy?
It was
werewolves
and flannel clad werewolves drinking
cocoa or
Tai Chi or something. Or no, drinking not chai tea. It was pumpkin spice lattes. Yeah.
That would be a great anthology. I would totally read it. But we like to keep
Wait,
our
Demon
themes...
Phil, what are you drinking? Is that a pumpkin spice latte?
I can neither confirm nor deny that
statement. You really have to tell us. I saw that in a movie once.
But we keep our themes more wide open so that we end up with a wider selection of ideas. You know, destinations can be, like you said, interpreted a lot of different ways, and it's been really fun to see what people come up with and, you know, what clicks in their mind when they hear destinations. So that's been something that we've tried to do to keep it a little bit more open and a little bit more fluid.
And that's definitely something that we're going to be discussing and showing the art like we had talked about before. But before we get started into all that, we're going to go ahead and jump in the time machine and go backwards just a little bit on this one, because I want to know exactly. I mean, 88 miles an hour. Here we go. 1.21 gigawatts. So what I want to know is, how did Oneshi Press come to be? I mean, was there like, you know, a spark of lightning and the right words chanted at the right time? I mean, what was done here? I mean, was there a book that was involved in this that had serious Latin words in it? I mean, how did this all come about?
The clock on the clock tower stopped. There was a bolt of lightning.
Yes.
So when we first met and we were talking about comics, Lynsey had Tracy Queen the idea for it and needed an illustrator. She was writing it, and I had the idea for Pack and I was illustrating it, but I needed a writer. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Nice.
We shopped Tracy Queen around to a lot of established publishers, and what we basically got back was a lot of people saying, this is great, but it doesn't fit what we're doing, or it doesn't fit neatly into any of the categories that we publish in.
Like, it's not explicit enough to be adult, but it's too explicit to be like just R-rated, you know, like, so there's a lot of like, you know, it doesn't fit on the porn shelf, but it doesn't fit on like just the, you know, adult shelf either.
Right.
And, you know, just slipped through the cracks.
And at that point, I was working at a major publishing house and had been working in publishing in a variety of ways since I was in college. And he was working for a major comic book artist.
Working for Neil Adams at Continuity Studios.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, I had comics production was like my mainstay. I mean, I was doing that, you know, I don't even know how many years and how many hours a week, but it was, you know.
Yeah, it
was a long slog at that. So
we both had enough experience under our belts that we were like, well, if we want to publish this, let's just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the more we got to know each other, the more we realized that we both had a ton of stories and ideas and things that we wanted to do on top of all the experience that we had in the publishing world. So we just decided to start a company and start publishing our stuff and other people's stuff. And it's been, what, I don't know, like 10 years since we started talking about doing it. It's been about 5 years since we started actually publishing things. I think.
When did we start publishing? 2017? Yeah, okay.
And I don't know. Yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
Nice. I mean, so it actually was just like a perfect medley that came together on this, and it was almost like a yin yang thing. Is one person had this, one person had that. You put it together, and all of a sudden, peanut butter and jelly time. I mean, we were there.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
much.
What Lynsey said before about how like we had a hard time finding traditional publishing for our projects. That actually was part of why we decided one of the first few things that we'd publish would be an anthology and start helping other people get their work published. And now 12 anthologies later, it's become quite a big thing. I mean, when we have to go through submissions for our anthology, it's like heartbreaking how many good things there are submitted that we have to like just pick the ones that fit this particular anthology the best. I mean, it's like, what did we get last time?
I don't remember. I don't know. A lot.
It's like near 100 submissions. We had to pick 17. Like, how do you do that? It was heartbreaking.
And how do you do it? I mean, do you contact them and say, we'll keep you in mind for future,
Oh yeah, we always write back. We're not the kind of people that you just won't hear from because whatever. But we always try to be encouraging and helpful. And, we do keep a roster of people that have submitted. There's even been times I was like, hey, that project isn't perfect for this anthology, but I do have another project that I would like to hire you on.
Right.
And that's happened a couple of times, and that's really cool,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do is we're still going to continue on with the interview, but I'm going to be showing some artwork while we're doing this.
Sweet.
So everyone go ahead and kind of buckle up because we've got, there's a lot of artwork here. We're going to kind of roll through on this one. So go ahead and keep your tray tables in the upright positions, your hands and elbows, inside of the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the ride because here we go. So we're going to start off with, we're just going to go through some of the random pages on here. And
over.
There we go. See? You're already leaning out of the cart just a little bit. That's perfect.
Just a little bit,
I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional.
This is why I love having y'all on here. So you're going with an anthology on this one. It's your 12th one. There's a lot of different, like you said, the amount of range in all of this. It is so much that's involved in this. How do you get a vision of what you want to see and then fine tune it from 100 down to 17? How does it get to the point where you're like, this is what we're going with. This is what I can see in the book, because this is a lot of different styles of artwork that just look awesome.
So we have a matrix of grading, like a grading matrix that's based on points. So like, excuse me, for Lynsey, you want to field it for a second?
Yeah.
Some water.
So we judge each submission
Sorry.
by its length. Does it fit our length requirements? Because we always say 8 pages, and some people try to submit like 30
11
stuff. So that's
32 or
a no-go.
7.
Is it a good story? If there is art attached at that point, is the art good? Does it feel like it meets our standards of professional looking art?
How close to being finished is it?
How close to being finished is it? If you send us a finished comic, you will get some
extra
preference
points
over someone who sends just a script.
And so each of those things, it's 1 out of 5. So we go 1 out of 5 for how well does it fit our theme, 1 out of 5 for how good is the art, 1 out of 5 for how good is the writing, 1 out of 5 for the length, 1 out of 5 for how close to finished, all of that stuff. So we go 1 out of 5 for like a whole bunch of different categories. And then at the end, the ones with the most points get first.
Well, the clincher also is how well does it fit the theme thematically, but also how well does the subject matter line up with our values as a publisher.
So that's one of the other categories is it Oneshi?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people who haven't been following us and haven't been reading our comics and haven't been looking at our website will have no idea if their work fits us or not. And that's also really obvious and stands out like a sore thumb. When people are like, oh yeah, like here, publish my thing, and like they know nothing about us or what we're looking for or who we are, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a place in the world for like nihilistic, edgelord kind of stuff, and great, that's awesome.
But it's not what we do.
It's not us. Like we're not really doing that. So, we give all of the submissions points in all of those categories, and then we add them up, and the ones with the most points get top pick.
And
And
as
then,
we're
of
going through
course,
your-
It's
Go
very
ahead.
the easiest thing is like anything that's like got any kind of like bigotry is just an
Oh,
automatic fail.
absolutely not.
right.
Hard pass. You know, if there's anything that we think is like, oh, that's sexist or that's homophobic or that's, you know, racist or whatever, you know, transphobic, like, nope, not doing it at all, period. So that does cut down a couple, but thankfully we don't really get too many like that. I mean, it's pretty,
Right.
even if you just glance at our website just to find the submission form, you're going to really quickly realize that, like, that's not what we do. You know, like, we're not okay with that, hopefully.
Exactly. And that is definitely something that I applaud y'all for, is because you said it there towards the end of that segment right there, that you said it has to fall within your values. Now, this is not saying that you're sitting up there going, you're gatekeeping. This is the way that you believe. This is like, these are old school values. These are things that people should be thinking of on a more regular basis. And it's more of, they have to remember that comics are they're a journey, a destination. They are, yeah, see what I did there? They take you from the reality that you're in and put you into a fantasy so that you can go ahead and enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet, or whatever is in your genre at that point, to get away from things. And you supply that for everyone that's involved in there. And I really like that you do that and push that is part of a main part of your business, a foundation part.
Yeah. Well, you know,
and actually,
we're not interested in telling anybody else how they need to think or anything, but
Mhm.
you know, we have our values that we believe strongly in, and so the things that we publish should match those values at least a little bit. You know, if we, you know, to like pinko commie peace loving hippies, you know, like, if we started publishing you know, comics that glorify war for the sake of war, or you know, something that just totally doesn't line up with our values as people, it'd be weird. Like, and we wouldn't know what to do with it either. We wouldn't know how to market it or who to talk to about it. So, you know, we're just
it's
like,
also,
let's
it's
stay in our
really
wheelhouse.
expensive to publish things. It's really expensive to get things printed. It takes so much time and effort and energy to put together a book like this, to run a campaign for it, to get it printed, to do fulfillment, to try to continue to sell it. Like, it is painfully exhausting. Why would I do that for anything that I don't love personally? Like, why would I do that for any story that doesn't make me feel intrigued and make me feel something, you know, or think about something different, or like look forward to going to sleep because I'm gonna have a nice dream now, or whatever, you know? Like, if it doesn't give me the warm fuzzies in some way, it's not getting in our book, you know? Like, I'm not gonna brutalize myself for something I don't like, you know?
And that brings up, that's a perfect segue into my next question, is how does it feel on each and every one of your projects? I mean, you've got 12 anthologies now. You've had multiple other projects that are under your belt. I mean, y'all have to go check out their website. There is a lot of stuff over there, and it is great stuff at that. But how does it feel to have where you finish a campaign, you get it printed, and it comes to you, and the first thing is you pick it up and you hold it in your hands going, that's mine. That's my name. I hold my product in my hand because you stand behind it. How does it feel?
I mean, you know, it's interesting. Like, that part doesn't happen when I first pick it up. The first thing I look for is like, did it print too dark? Is it too light? Is there any imperfections in the printing?
Yeah.
But like, honestly, way before it even gets to making it real, I already know that I love it. If I didn't feel that like warm, like, I love this project, this is good, this is gonna do it, this is gonna be great. If I didn't already feel that, I wouldn't even bother with all of the other work, because there's so much other work. And I feel like I see it time and time again. People that put in that much effort for things that they don't already really feel good about end up burning out hardcore. And I've seen titans who have been praised for how indomitable their work ethic is burn out because they're not doing what they love. And that, I mean, what else is there?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, what else? What other point could there possibly be to being in a creative industry that's really difficult to get buy-in if it's not doing what you love, you know?
Exactly. And you brought up just a while ago another point too about marketing is expensive and putting into there. So if it's not worth it, then why do you go through it? So the next question I have is, you're getting a consistent following on this. That there's a no-brainer on that one. You've definitely got a standing following. You can almost mark the numbers on there to know, a certain amount of people are going to be backers on there and everything. But you're also starting to get that ever increase showing up on there with each campaign. So how is it that you're marketing this out to new potential backers as opposed to just the return ones on there? Are you doing something different to get with them?
There's a few things we do. One of them, and one of my favorite things, is our newsletter. We always have free opt-ins, and many of them. So like you opt into our newsletter for this one free thing or that one free thing or another, but then our newsletter continues to send you free stuff and continues to tell you about Lynsey and I and about our company and about the projects we're working on and the people we're working with. And then when we have a Kickstarter, it continues to tell you about that Kickstarter and how it's going and what we're doing and what new things, what achievements we've unlocked, and how many trees we're going to be planting for this one, or how many
Yes,
what kinds of bonuses we're getting for our creators, etc. And so like that, there's always new people opting in, and the rate of people opting in is terrifically greater than the rate of people opting out. And sometimes people are like, oh, I just can't take any more newsletters. I have 50 newsletters in my inbox. I'm just
Understandable.
unsubscribing from all of them. And like, cool. And I've even had people resubscribe to us after unsubscribing to everything, But like some people, whatever, they leave or maybe they're like, you guys are too peacenikey or whatever, and we're like, cool, later, but like it just keeps growing, and then each campaign there's more people that are following us, and sometimes you'll have people that are like, I just backed your last 2 campaigns, I can't back another campaign for a little while.
Also understand.
And then other people step in, so there's like a rotation of people that are like in satellite, where they come back like once every 2 or 3 campaigns, and there's a bunch of people doing that come back every 2 or 3 campaigns, and that number is slowly growing.
Yeah.
So as we do that, then we have more people that are coming back around each time. It's a slow grow though, because we don't sit down and go, what is the most popular thing right now that we could make? What is the most easy to sell thing right now that we could make? We sit down and go, what is the most important thing that we'll feel good about having put into the world?
We also sit down and go, okay, we've each got like 50 things that we want to make. So like, which do we prioritize?
Yeah, and that's it. But our priorities are not always low-hanging fruit. We're trying to build Oneshi, and we do that through consistency. The reason why we have a consistent following is because we're building a consistent legacy of our works, so people know that they can regularly expect the same good stuff out of us, but because of that, like it's a little bit of a more long-term, slower process, but we're starting to see that go in our favor.
We also we do some ads on Facebook primarily. We have learned a lot about how to make Facebook ads that work from Tyler James in the Comics Launch course, and for a while we had this really cool thing where we were like getting one-on-one info from actual people who worked at Facebook, helping us set up ad campaigns that worked for us. So
yeah, direct marketing experts.
Yeah, so we've been doing that for a while, and like we were actually talking about before we started recording, Phil, like it is pay to play. You have to put money in to get anything out of Facebook advertising, and it is complex. The learning curve is a vertical cliff, but it gets us in front of new eyeballs. Like Tyler in Comics Launch always says, if you want more traffic, you got to go to the traffic store, and that's advertising. And there are tons of different ways of doing it, and we've talked to a lot of people who get really creative about guerrilla marketing tactics or using Reddit or TikTok as a marketing play. But the most straightforward way that we have found of getting ourselves in front of new people is Facebook ads.
Yeah. And so it's important to also mention that there's a difference between the advertising campaign, which is who you're sending it to, how much you're paying to have it sent to them, how you've figured out exactly who they should be, and the advertising creative, which is what image you're using, what text you're using. You know, like your ad creative has to be really strong, but also your ad campaign has to be really laser focused, like a sniper. It has to be intelligent.
Yeah, this is like,
both of those things are two completely different things, right? So like coming up with a cool image and headline is not the kind of ad we're talking about. Coming up with a really perfect audience is not the kind of ad we're talking about. It's those two things working together with perfect synergy.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking
it's
about.
A lot. It's like
it's
a 2-week seminar on, on Facebook ads to get through the basics, but
to get the basics, like just to even understand how to narrow down an audience in a helpful way.
But we also, I mean, we kind of do, we have a lot of things going on. Like when we have an anthology coming up and during an anthology campaign, we also interview as many of the creators who were involved as we can and put those interviews up on our blog, and then, you know, tweet about it and post about it and, you know, get that out to as many people as we can. And we also rely on the creators whose work we're publishing to also help get the word out through their various channels. So we try to make it into like an ecosystem where kind of everybody's involved with everybody else.
The really cool thing about that is that helps the creators, because now they have something to show all the people, potential other, you know, cohorts and employers and friends and family and other support people, you know, like they have something featuring them that's really cool for them to show off. But also by them showing it off, it helps to give us more traction and it boosts our signal. So it's like that I think is just such a nice like co-op model right there. Is like the more you guys shout this out, the more you're all helping us and each other, you know.
Right. When one of us wins, we all win. Hooray!
Now, number one, the term ecosystem, we're going to put a pin in that because I'm coming right back to that one. But first, I wanted to tell you before I forget, because I'm old and I forget things pretty quickly. I'm on your list, you know, your subscriber list for the email list on there, and getting your newsletter. And you said earlier that, you know, you send out the free stuff and you send it out pretty regular and everything. I'm going to tell you right now, number one, I do appreciate the free stuff, yes. But I look forward to the newsletter itself because, to be honest, that's almost like a sitcom waiting for me to read in my email. Y'all make it so fun whenever I open that up. It is not just a simple, here's our business, here's how we did, here's our numbers, here's our metrics, please join the next campaign. I see enough of those with some other people who try to do these things, and they're trying, but you put that same passion that you're putting into your work into your newsletters. So return backers like myself, we really appreciate whenever you do that. So I just wanted to say thank you for going to that degree on there.
That is exactly what we want to hear. Thank you so much.
I think, you know, the way that we try to look at it is the newsletter itself is one of our ongoing projects. You know, it is our creative work. It's not something we're doing to market our work. It is one of our works, and we're very proud of it.
Yeah, I realize when I sit down and start working on a newsletter, we usually collaborate about, you know, what's going in the newsletter, what images do we need, what's the subject matter, and then I'll sit down and start writing. And I've realized if I sit down and say, hello, we are so excited to announce, I need to stop what I'm doing and go do something else, because that means I'm not feeling it. Like, you know, everybody says we're so excited to announce blah, blah, blah. And that's okay in some circumstances, but nobody reads that opening line and is like, oh boy,
you're talking to me personally.
I can't wait to hear what this is about.
Right.
So like, I always try to come at it from, you know, the perspective of like, all right, let's use my actual voice like I'm talking to a friend, because ideally I want every person on this email list to feel like we are friends, because
and the thought is,
that's how we come at everything.
How is Demon Phil gonna feel when he reads this? You know, is Demon Phil gonna feel like, oh, an update from a friend? Or is Demon Phil gonna feel like, oh, this marketing thing I signed up for? You know, like.
Yeah, and that's where it comes back to what Jayel said about, you know, everything that we make, we love. It's a lot easier to get excited, really excited, and put that into what you're saying to someone when you actually give a crap about it. So.
And if you're actually that excited about and put that much passion into something as simple as a newsletter, just imagine everybody out there that you have not gotten involved in their stuff yet. I mean, this anthology, 17 different stories on there that they've curated to put in a certain order with the way that had the vision on there for destinations, if the newsletter itself has got you excited and you look at it like, wow, it's newsletter day, and you get excited, just imagine how you'll be getting onto something like this. And there's another reason to get excited on there. And I wanted to bring up ecosystem because, again, applause are in order in this one, big time. I cannot stress enough how proud I am to be a backer a couple of times for y'all on this, which means I've got a couple of seeds out there, which is awesome. Every backer you plant, you have a tree planted for every backer that's on these things. That is awesome because, yeah, you're not getting, 10,000 backers. So we're not planting a forest all at once type deal, but every forest starts with one tree. So that's all you got to do is start with the small wins on there. And you're starting to get a huge following just off of that information alone. How did you come up with going ahead and starting that?
Well, we're tree people. You might have gotten that idea from me calling us hippies. But I've always loved trees.
I am no tree. I am an ant.
Jayel.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
All right. We like ants too, but they're not trees. We're talking about trees right now. And so there's this organization, One Tree Planted, that started up a little while ago. And I think they're really cool. You pay them $1, they plant a tree. And you can specify if you want that tree to be planted in a specific part of the world, or you can say to them, plant this where it's most needed. And then they go and do it. And it's great. So for a while, I was actually giving people trees as like birthday presents, Mother's Day presents, that kind of stuff. And I did that, I think this past Mother's Day, we did that for both of our mothers. And Jayel was like, that's really cool. We should work that into our business model because this is something that's important to us. Trees are the cornerstones of a healthy ecosystem all over the world. They combat climate change. They sequester carbon. They do all the things. And they're awesome too. So we were like, how can we work it into the business model? How can we make that a part of what we do? And especially because we're in an industry that uses paper that's made out of trees, it felt really important to us. And we were already working with a printer that uses recycled and or sustainably harvested trees. And we print in the US to try to cut down our carbon footprint. And we do as much as we can to be an ecologically sound business. But rather than just doing that, we wanted to actively give back trees to the world. So he was like, well, why don't we just plant a tree for every backer? Done. So it's an extra expense that we've decided to take on, but we also feel like the publishing industry as a whole can be so destructive. It is really important that people set the example of being as undestructive as we can and trying to give back and make people aware that, it is within your power to do something good for the world. And we may be, a small publisher, but we're hoping that by setting this example, maybe we'll inspire other publishers and other creators to do similar things. And that has started happening. We know of at least a few other people who are doing the same thing now.
And they told us basically it was directly because of the way we set it up and our idea. And if anybody out there wants to set this up, please, I will tell you every single step of the way how to do it. I will help you. I will hold your hand. Just do it. We need more of it.
Yeah, and One Tree Planted is really easy to work with too. Literally, we just got in touch with them and we were like, "Hey, we want to plant trees on a regular basis. Should we be
just
partners?"
Set up a Zoom
and
call
they were like,
and we figured it out.
Yeah.
They figured out what I was like, "Oh, well, what about this, that, and the other thing?" And they were like, well, okay, let's do this, and we got it set up. And now you can go to oneshipress.com/onetreeplanted, and that will bring you directly to our One Tree Planted campaign where you can see our progress. So far, we have just over 300 trees planted. And this latest campaign for destinations, we have currently over 100 backers. And
105 right
yeah, we have 105 backers currently. So that's 105 more trees planted on top of the 300 and whatever it is. But also other people deciding to do it with their campaigns
Yes.
means that it's even more than that. So it starts to become multiplicative and then exponential, and the rate of growth of this idea is gonna, I don't see it ending. I
Yeah,
don't see
and
it
like
stopping.
you said, trees make more trees. So we will
Exactly.
have the Oneshi forest someday.
I mean, and the thing about it is, I mean, everybody's already backing something. They're already going and putting, their support toward whatever campaigns are available on there. Because not everybody has the same taste, of course, but it's
Sure.
all spread around all over the place. So like you're saying, you're more than willing to go ahead and say, if you're interested in doing this, let me help you set this up. Because that way, not only are you doing this, but other ones who are doing it, other ones in different circles and other backers, if you could expand this up to, 1,000 or more per month, that's
Right.
a huge win on that. Just because you're getting other people in other circles to go ahead and jump in on other campaigns, that is awesome to be able to go ahead and do that. And again, that goes with your basis and your foundation for everything, because you're willing to share, you're willing to increase that spotlight for everyone. And this is in particular not just on the indies, but on our planet as is. So it's a much bigger, field of view on there. And I really like that y'all did that.
Yeah, if all the indies get together and start planting trees all the time, we can put enough pressure on the big publishers eventually that they'll be like, oh, fine, we'll plant a tree.
Yes.
I mean, honestly,
Oh.
like when people down here are innovating and it makes people up here look bad,
Yes.
that's how you make change too.
Yes.
When people are like, oh, I could buy from these like big mainstream publishers, but you know what? All their work is rehashed. They don't pay their artists well. They're not environmentally friendly. Look, here are these little guys that are eating like, slim and eking by, and they're doing good in the world. Like, why wouldn't you check that out? So
Exactly.
anyway,
Exactly. I mean, look at
put pressure and to make change.
exactly. I mean, look at Jayel. I mean, he can't afford sleeves, but he's doing well in the world with everything that's going on. I mean,
25 degrees out. I don't need sleeves. I need my shades.
25 degrees is tropical for Western Montana.
Bust out my shorts, my
Oh,
swim
it's so
trunks.
hot out here.
I couldn't resist. Like I said, I'm looking over there going, it is too cold for this. I'm telling you. Now, the other thing I want to bring up is consistently, Kickstarter must think that y'all are doing something right as well, because Project We Love, I mean, it consistently gets slapped right on there. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to in the industry, and they're like, if we get it, we get it, whatever. It's not a badge of honor. It's more of a badge of they're noticing the value. And I'm not talking about dollar signs, but the actual value of what you're doing. You're actually doing something that matters, which is great, because I've always said it's always the footprints you leave in life that show your legacy that you're going to leave behind. And y'all are leaving some huge footprints. So that is awesome. And Kickstarter, again, they must believe that as well, and they should. So congratulations on Project We Love yet again.
Thank you. This is, what, our 12th campaign? We've 13th. Okay.
I don't remember.
We've been working with Kickstarter for a while now, and there's some people in there that we know on a first name basis, and like we love Kickstarter so much, and they love us, like they've taken care of us. And we've got the backer favorite and the super backer badge, but also getting like, what is it, the 7th time getting Project We Love?
I think so. I think we now have more projects that have gotten the badge than have not.
Right. And it really does speak to the fact that they witness people who care about the community, and that makes them care about those people because they want it to be a community.
Yeah.
People that are out there like competing and power ranking each other and whatever, like it's not the vibe. Like cool, like bring that energy to the next sports game you're in, like,
Oh, yeah.
But that's not
Or
why we're
spectating.
creating,
And you can also tell, because I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there too, people kind of bypass the video at the top of the campaigns a lot of times with other people's campaigns, just because it's the same thing. It's always just an overview of my product and this, that, and the other. Y'all do something a little bit different. Y'all get up there, and again, that passion that you have in there really shows, because you have way too much fun. And I've got to throw it out there right now. Mugs had me rolling because whenever after the video and y'all did the outtakes afterwards, I was dying on that.
That was a fun one.
We started the tradition of outtakes basically just to make ourselves feel better about how hard doing these videos was in the beginning, you know? And now we like look forward to the outtakes. Like if someone messes up, it's like, that's gonna be in the bloopers. And we just love the bloopers. And also we put the bloopers at the end, and it's always like people know to watch the whole video by this point because they know we're always gonna have bloopers at the end, and it's always fun, you know? And we try to make our videos like our newsletter. We try to make the video itself fun and entertaining. Like we're not like reading a book report about our comic like in front of the class. We're trying to tell you why this is awesome, why we're awesome, why the campaign is awesome, why everyone involved is awesome, why you're awesome, why they're awesome, you know, like it's just awesome. And there's bloopers, come on.
That is awesome. See, I'm on it now. There we go. Awesome.
We've realized that knowing that there's a blooper reel actually makes us way less nervous when we're recording a video.
Right.
Because it's like, if you mess up, hey,
Hooray!
there's just more fodder for the blooper reel. So it actually has made us relax and get a lot more comfortable in front of the camera. So, you know, win-win.
At this point, it's just fun.
Yeah.
And one more thing that I want to bring up about the campaign, and then we're going to start kind of wrapping things up on here, is that you do have the cross promo that you're doing with two of the campaigns that are out there, Fangs and Foul Play, LK and Gino, and I believe it's Caleb. Is it Thuzat? No, Palmquest.
Palmquest.
I always get those two mixed up, and I don't know why.
They're very different Calebs.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand how I get that, but
they're both Caleb though.
Exactly.
So, you know.
But it's Caleb Palmquest, and it's Vampire Detective in space. You can't leave the in space out of there because Vampire Detective just sounds like, man, that sounds cool in space. Whoa.
We also actually are about to launch a cross promo for the first time with a campaign that is not on Kickstarter. But if you back our Kickstarter campaign and this person's campaign, you're going to get something super ultra awesome special.
Yeah, it's a card game.
It's a card game, and that's directly through the card company's website. So it's going to be pre-sales. Okay. So if you buy one of their cards, one of their games through pre-sales, we're going to be announcing this all next week. So by the time this is in our newsletter, you know, people are watching this are like, I already got the card. What is this guy talking about? Like it's new. No, I'm just kidding. I love you guys. But yeah, so you'll get an awesome, super rare card that is basically like one of the best cards in the game, and it's gonna like be. Should I just say it? Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, it's John Kenjutsu by Next Dark Studios. David Geringer, who does all our audio, he did the music for all our videos and for all our theme songs. He has this card game that's kind of like. Almost like rock, paper, scissors style. Like you pull out a card and put it down, and whoever has the better move wins that round.
Rock, paper, scissors, but like
ninjas
version.
and super cool. It's awesome. The art is amazing. So we have this one card that's our character, KF Catfish, as like doing like a super move where he's like chopping so hard that the card is tearing in half. Like, and it's like coming at you, you know? And that's going to be like the super card that you get if you back both campaigns. So we're super stoked about that.
Oh, there is no
as of the time that we're talking.
You back, yes.
That hasn't been released yet. So,
anyway, well, I mean, we're recording right now. So by the time they see this, it may be in the.
They already might know about it. That's what I'm saying.
The magic of time.
It might be old hat. It might be like, I already got mine. What is this guy talking about?
See, it's going to be weird. It's going to be like I wake up one morning and be able to read your newsletter, get all excited about reading it again, and on new one, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just had them on, or did I? Ooh.
You will have already had us on by then.
Yeah, it went around. Yeah, around there.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah.
Now I've got to ask in a closing question on here before we go ahead and close everything out. The last question I want to ask is: you've had now 12 of these anthologies that you've done, and you've had multiple, other projects you've worked on. I'm trying to ask all of my guests the same question, and I love it because I get different answers, and I love this part of my job. What is one positive thing that you have learned after all of this that you're going to implement into your next campaign?
Specifically from the anthology's experience, you mean?
Correct.
I think the thing that I've learned is that, how do I put this? There is like endless diversity in imagination. When we put out a call for submissions for, sort of a loose theme, the submissions that we get just blow my mind. Like, I would never think X, Y, or Z. I would never think, what if there was a jerk big game hunter, trophy hunter who wanted to go to Antarctica, and we make a comic about that? Never would have occurred to me. I never would have thought, what if the sword Excalibur ended up with a different owner because of a sandwich? Like, never ever would have crossed my mind. And yet we get these amazing comics from people who have taken that theme idea and just done incredible things with it. And I like to keep that in mind no matter what I'm working on, whether it's an anthology or something else, because there's never one right answer. There's never one right way to be or to do things. Mm-hmm. And I think keeping that in mind as a creative person just keeps me open to more possibilities for my own work. But it also helps me remember that, when you're trying to sell something to somebody, there's no magic pill or magic word or magic spell that you can do that will make everyone love something. You have to find your people and talk to those people. And it's okay that not everybody thinks the same way. So for me, that's the biggest takeaway. Like, there's every possible variation of human being, and that's wonderful.
That is awesome, because that is a great way to look at it, because you're just seeing that the picture just keeps getting bigger and bigger by going in and opening it up for others to go ahead and have a piece of that pie as well.
Yeah.
And that is great to be able to see that, and to be able to see that far in the future, to know that more and more people are going to be knocking down that door at Oneshi Press saying, we want a piece of this, and get our name out there alongside yours. It's not to get above you by any means. It's everyone working together. And again, that's part of your values that you make sure that everyone kind of pays attention to whenever they're getting in there. Because if anyone tries to get in there trying to climb that ladder and step on people, I'm sure that's one of those where you go, I can't remember where I put your stuff there. It was somewhere in the pile. I saw it last time. But, it's great to be able to have where people understand that respect, get respect, and that the values are still there for everybody. So again, I applaud you on everything that you're doing with that, and the way that you have set up your foundation for your company, and the way that your brand is growing because of that foundation. So I'm going to give you full screen on this one and go ahead and let you know that everybody needs to get over there to the Kickstarter. My Kickstarter link is like 27 characters long times 9. So I'm going to let you have yours and just let them know, but I will embed that into the feed so that everybody can click on that really easy.
Oh, cool.
Instead of my huge long, thing that I, got off the
Ours
internet.
is easy. We just do kickstarter.oneshipress.com.
It's so much easier. Mine's like K93-4 squared pi 14. Yeah, no.
Sine, cosine.
Exactly. So we're just going to go ahead and do yours, but I'm going to give you full screen on this one and go ahead and let them know why they need to go over there, check out the campaign, and support it in any way they have possible to do so.
Well, by supporting our campaign, you're not just supporting us. You're not just supporting 17 different teams of artists around the world who are struggling to get their work to you. You're also getting yourself this awesome collection that you're going to be able to read and read again and refer back to, and it's going to entertain you and inspire you, and it's wonderful. And if that's not enough, we're planting a tree for you. It's pretty freaking cool.
And on top of that, for every $1 that we make past our initial goal, which, gets the books printed and gets them into people's hands, every $1 after that gets split 50-50 with our contributors. So that means that you're not only doing everything that Jayel just said, you are also helping to fairly compensate the people who put their amazing work into the anthology.
And you're getting a cool book.
Yeah.
That right there is awesome. I mean, I was already on board with the whole, getting a cool book, and you're helping with getting the ideas out there and everything. And now you're saying every dollar passed, ooh, that should really start getting people fired up and going, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually starting to pay some salaries around here. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, of course, nobody's buying a mansion off of this, in any fashion, anytime soon. However, just to be able to get a check or PayPal or however it's being sent to them, and it's like, this is yours. You earned it. You were in here, and people valued the book this much. This is what you're getting on this. We appreciate you being here and looking forward to, your future endeavors with all this. To me, as a creator, mindset on that would be like, wait a minute, I can actually do this. This is something that's actually in my wheelhouse. It's possible, that there is, a fairy out there with my name on it.
Well, and the more everyone helps to share it, the more we can do for these people, right? So like that's the other incentive, right? Is that like everyone involved hopefully is going to be pushing as hard as they can to get it into as many hands as possible so that everyone involved does better,
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're only so big, and we are small, but
mighty.
we can be mighty. Your help.
That is very true. And Jayel and Lynsey, I certainly appreciate y'all being back on the show and returning back as guests on here. I look forward to having y'all on for each and every one of y'all's projects. I'm telling you right now. So just go ahead and put it in your calendar. You're going to be in the hot seat for every one of your
Watch out. You may live to regret that. We do a lot.
Our next one is planned, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
And the cool thing is, those of you that get the newsletter, you'll know ahead of time before other people on social media sometimes. So nanner. So on that note, again, thank y'all for being here. I certainly appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and drop y'all backstage. If y'all want to hang out, I'll be back here in just a moment after I get done with closing.
All right.
Bye.
All right. So we had Oneshi Press up here. We were talking a lot about their campaign and who they are and what the company is and how they set up this anthology and got all this together. Now, I always have a closing statement, and tonight's not any different. And it's usually based on something that was said by my guest or, was said on the show, and usually based on a one-word scenario. Tonight, that word is value. Now, value can mean several different things. A lot of times people look at value and automatically put the dollar sign right there next to it or in front of it or however you want to put it. That's not what I'm meaning by this. What I'm meaning by this is the value that you have and the values that you present with everything. I cannot stress enough how much it means to me personally, and I know it's got to mean to a lot of people that are out there, that a company has the values that they do and stay consistent with those to make sure that everybody knows who they are by their brand, by their values. It is key to be able to do that and to be able to be consistent with that. Without being consistent with that, people will notice the flaws in there and they'll automatically start thinking that the projects that you're working on contain those flaws as well. So keep in mind, the values are something that you do in daily life all the time. One of those values definitely needs to be integrity, because you never know who's watching and you always want to do what's right. Oneshi Press is definitely on that list. I know they're doing what's right. So if I'm going to go ahead and back them and put my faith into them, I would like for y'all to do the same thing. So reach out there, see what's going on with their campaign. Go ahead and support it any way you can. And remember, support is all different ways on there. Not everybody can support everything financially, completely understandable. But it costs nothing to use the power of the finger, the correct one if you can. Hit that share button and go ahead and get this shared out so other people can get involved in this as well. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and close this thing down for tonight, because I'm going to go get warm somewhere else. But I appreciate everyone being here and watching. Please share this out and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that's going on. And we'll see you next time. Until then, I got to find it. Where here we use this one. Keep it indie, y'all.
Sockets, flip the switch and watch them run. Oh!